There's something about long, empty roads at night. The way the darkness seems to follow you. The way headlights barely pierce the void ahead. Out there, far from the safety of cities and people, you can feel exposed. Maybe it's just the emptiness, or maybe something is watching. If you can hear my voice, you've already taken the first step into the unknown. Stick close, keep the engine running, and subscribe. It might be the only warning you get before your next road trip turns into your last. Now, keep the lights low, and let's dive into the shadows of tonight's story. It was late, well past midnight, when I found myself on an endless stretch of Route 19. The road seemed to unravel into darkness, with only my headlights carving a narrow tunnel through the night. My phone had been dead for hours, my GPS useless, and the next town was miles away. Rain had been falling steadily for the past hour, the kind that clings to your windshield like 1,000 tiny beads of glass. The rhythmic squeak of the wipers was hypnotic, and the wet asphalt reflected the dim yellow lines, like a snake's back glistening in the dark. That's when I saw it. A faint neon glow up ahead. A gas station. But something about it didn't feel right. The sign above was old, its flickering letters spelling out "open" in a half-hearted buzz, like it hadn't been fully alive for years. The building itself looked older, white paint peeling into gray strips, the roof sagging slightly, and the glass door smeared with a cloudy film. I pulled in, more out of desperation than trust. My tank was nearly empty, and the rain was turning into a downpour. When I stepped inside, the smell hit me first. Not the familiar scent of gasoline or cheap coffee, but something damp, moldy, like the inside of a basement that hadn't been opened in decades. The man behind the counter was pale, his skin almost gray under the sickly fluorescent lights. His eyes seemed just a little too wide, and they didn't blink nearly enough. He spoke slowly, his voice a monotone.
Need gas?
I nodded, but before I could hand over my card, I noticed something strange. Through the large front window, the rain wasn't falling right. It looked frozen, each droplet suspended midair, like a paused video. I turned to the clerk. "Hey, what's going on outside?" He tilted his head slightly and said,
You shouldn't be here.
The lights in the store flickered violently, and for a split second, I saw something impossible in the reflection of the glass. Rows of people standing in the dark parking lot, motionless, their heads all tilted at the exact same unnatural angle. The clerk grabbed my wrist with an icy hand.
Go! Now!
I didn't ask twice. I ran out into the rain, which had suddenly resumed falling, and jumped into my car. My hands were trembling so hard I almost dropped the keys. As I sped away, I glanced into the rearview mirror. The gas station was gone. Just gone. Only the empty road stretched behind me, as if it had never been there at all. Our second story tonight takes us down the cursed stretch of Highway 47, a place where the trees seem to lean in just a little too close, and headlights disappear into the dark without ever coming back. It's where I made the mistake of picking up a hitchhiker on a stormy night, a man whose face I couldn't quite see and whose shadow didn't match his body. So, let's go back to that night, the one I wish I'd never driven through. The rain had stopped hours ago, but the road was still slick under my tires, glistening under the pale moonlight. Highway 47 stretched out in front of me like a silver ribbon, cutting through nothing but pine forest. No other cars, no towns, just me and the hum of the engine. It was close to 2 a.m. when I saw him. A lone figure on the side of the road, standing unnaturally still, illuminated in the high beams like a photograph. He wasn't holding his thumb out like a normal hitchhiker. His arms hung limp at his sides, his head slightly tilted forward. He wore an oversized black coat, the kind that looked like it had been through decades of winters, and a brimmed hat that shadowed his face. Something about him made the hair on the back of my neck stand up, but maybe he needed help. I slowed down, rolling the window halfway. "You need a ride?" His head lifted slowly, and in that moment, I realized I couldn't see his eyes. It was just shadow, even though the headlights were right on him. He stepped forward without a word and opened the passenger door. The hinges groaned as if they hadn't moved in years. He slid in, water dripping from his coat onto the seat. For the first few miles, we didn't speak. The only sound was the wet squeak of the windshield wipers. I stole glances at him. His head was angled toward me, but I still couldn't make out his face. Finally, I broke the silence and asked him, "Where are you headed?"
Home.
The way he said it sent a chill down my spine. His voice was low, almost a whisper, but it echoed inside the car like it had more weight than sound should. We drove another mile when I noticed something strange in the side mirror. The road behind us wasn't right. Instead of the dark, wet asphalt, it looked like a dirt path surrounded by barren trees. And along that path, shapes were following us, tall, thin shapes that seemed to glide instead of walk. I blinked, and the reflection returned to normal. I didn't say a word. A few minutes later, the man spoke again, without turning his head.
You should drop me off soon.
I asked him where, but he simply lifted one pale hand and pointed to a small dirt road barely visible through the trees. I pulled over. The man opened the door and stepped out without looking back. He walked into the tree line, disappearing into the shadows. I sat there for a moment, breathing hard. Then I looked at the seat he had been in. It was dry, completely dry. And when I checked my GPS later, Highway 47 didn't have any dirt turnoffs for miles in either direction. Our third and final story takes us deep into the endless desert roads of Arizona, the kind of place where the night swallows everything whole, and the silence feels heavier than the air itself. I was driving alone, chasing the glow of a distant gas station that never seemed to get any closer, until I realized I wasn't the only one on that road. Something was pacing my car in the dark just out of sight. So, let's return to that night and the thing that wouldn't let me leave. It was close to 1 a.m. when I found myself on Route 89, a stretch of road that felt abandoned by both man and time. The GPS had glitched miles back, showing nothing but a blank gray screen. Yet I kept driving because there was nowhere else to go. The moon was hidden behind thick clouds, and the desert around me was pitch black. My headlights only carved out a narrow tunnel of visibility ahead. The only sound was the hum of the tires on the cracked asphalt. That's when I noticed it. Movement. In the far edge of my headlights, something was keeping pace with my car. At first, I thought it was a coyote or maybe a stray dog, but it was too tall, too fast. I pressed harder on the gas, the speedometer crept up, so did the shadow. My chest tightened as I caught a better look. It wasn't running, it was gliding. Its limbs were impossibly long, the arms swinging just enough to mimic human movement, but the way it moved was wrong. I told myself not to look, but my curiosity won. I glanced again. It was closer now, close enough for the high beams to graze its face. But there was no face, just a pale, smooth oval where eyes, a nose, and a mouth should be. My hands shook on the steering wheel. I wanted to slam the brakes, turn around, anything. But my gut screamed that if I slowed down, it would get in the car. The gas station's glow appeared ahead. That same flickering neon sign I'd been chasing for what felt like hours. I floored it. And then, it was gone, just like that. I pulled into the station, heart pounding, sweat soaking through my shirt. The old man behind the counter looked up as I walked in. Before I could even speak, he said, "You saw it, didn't you?" My mouth went dry. "What?" He pointed out the dusty window towards the desert.
It follows the lonely ones, stays just out of reach. But if you ever stop, you'll find out why no one comes down this road at night. And if you ever do, you might never come back.
And that concludes our journey down these haunted roads. Whether it's an abandoned highway, a lonely forest path, or a desert that swallows light itself, the truth is, the most dangerous thing on the road isn't always another driver. Sometimes, it's something that was never meant to be seen. So the next time you find yourself driving late at night and you notice a shadow pacing you in the dark, whatever you do, don't slow down.